What's up, it's George the Fragrance Apprentice, and I've just got one hell of a list for you today. I'm just going to cut straight to the chase with that. Very, very happy and excited to be showing you this list. I've got a bit of hero hype vibes, actually. I remember I used to watch the old school fragrance reviewers back in the day, and they would show these amazing, magnificent fragrances, and I would actually get goosebumps because I would just be so excited the way that they presented them. And I actually feel those similar kind of vibes and those similar kind of tingles with this list. And also I'm wearing my hat today, so you know that I'm very serious about it. Gourmands, for those of you who don't know, gourmand is of course an offshoot of gourmet, so we're talking food, but it isn't just any food. You aren't just throwing whatever in there. It's usually actually stuff that you find on a dessert menu, so we're talking things like coffee, vanilla, chocolate, cinnamon, things like that. Fruit, not necessarily. There can be an objection to that rule, and in fact there is one fragrance here that is an objection to that rule, but fruit is kind of its own genre in fragrance. But gourmand is usually dessert orientated, it's self-indulgent, it's warming, it's nice, it goes fantastic with this type of year, and they're very well loved. And that's great, that's fantastic. You will usually get positive feedback and compliments from gourmand-based fragrances. Why? Because people will recognise the scents of these fragrances. You know, when you've got fragrances that smell kind of like vanilla and chocolate, people will respond very positively to that because it's something that they know, it's something that they can recognise and have positive associations with. That is, of course, as long as the fragrance isn't maybe too overt and it smells as though you've just got a dessert and thrown it over your head. But it usually should have something more to it that gives it a very good, well-balanced feeling. So we're going to start with number 10 that smells as though you've just got a dessert and just threw it over your head. And that is Wicked Good, from the house of Daniel Gallagher. Now, this is a bit of a cheeky fragrance, really, to have in this list so early on in the game, especially considering that I only got this 2 weeks ago. But do you know when you've just met somebody for the first time and you immediately get on with them and you're like, hang on a minute, it feels as though I've known this person for years. I really understand where they're coming from. Maybe you've had a similar background or upbringing, and so there's sort of an immediate understanding of where the two parties come from. And for me, that's pretty much the reaction that I got when I smelled Wicked Good. I was like, oh right, I get it, I totally get it. This is chocolate cream in its purest form. This is chocolate pudding that we have here in England. It is really just an overt sort of chocolate and tonka bomb. It doesn't really have any top notes, it doesn't have the balance that you really would want in a fragrance like this, but I got it and I was like, I really appreciate where it's coming from, and I appreciate just how brave and just how insane it is. When you put this on, you are smelling like chocolate. It smells as though you literally just have overindulged on chocolate ice cream, and it's pretty bloody amazing. Number 9 is from the house of Kajal, and this is called Feeder. Now, this is the sort of the exception that I was kind of talking about. This is actually mostly fruity based, but it's got a lot of vanilla elements, and what I get from this is actually white chocolate. I actually get a white chocolate vibe from Feeder. Now, the only problem with this, and why this is so low on the list, and it shouldn't be so low on the list, is that it's got a very poor opening, or it's got a very striking and unpleasant to my nose opening. It smells like nail polish. It smells, very synthetic and, chemically, which is not pleasant. But then, of course, if you ride that, then you actually get a really nice, fruity, floral white chocolate scent, which is incredible and will be fantastic for the wearer. But if you just have to get through that first opening. Number 8 is from the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It's a fragrance that you know that I love. It has been in a couple winter lists, I believe, but this is an absolute staple. This is an incredible fragrance, although it is incredibly pricey, and that is one of the reasons why it's kind of lower on the list. This is Oud Satin Mood. Now, I really like Oud, actually. I've started to really enjoy the original Oud, but Oud Satin Mood is one of the most luxurious, high-priced gourmands on the market today, bar none. It truly is a masterpiece from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. It is a very straightforward vanilla wrapped around a very, very harsh, brisk, woody Gaiac wood oud combo. And it's very plain, it's very straightforward, and it is an absolute bomb. I mean, I've got 75 millilitres of here. I've used it for the past 2-3 years. You zoom into the bottle, it looks as though I've hardly used it, but I don't need to, spray too much. Everybody knows that. It is an absolute humongous atom bomb of a fragrance. You put 3 sprays on in the coldest of coldest temperatures, and this will just project off of you like a beast. It's pleasing, it's enjoyable, and it gets incredibly positive reactions from people. Do not underestimate it. Even if you just buy a little 5ml decant of this, that's all that you really need. Oud Satin Mood by Francis Kurkdjian. Moving from one bomb to the other, or, well, I'm going to actually mention that right here. This is number 7. This is Herod from Parfums de Mer. Like I said in my review, I get actually a sort of a Nutella vibe from it. There isn't really any nuts or peanuts or anything like that. There isn't even really chocolate listed, but you get a lot of cinnamon, you get a lot of vanilla, you get a lot of tobacco, and I really, really do enjoy all of those different elements put together. And like I said, I get a creamy chocolatey Nutella. I did a review on this, and a lot of the comments were a little bit disturbing because people said that the projection longevity on this thing, is not as powerful as maybe people, as I said it was, and maybe people have said it was. It's an absolute bomb on me. It's actually quite obnoxious and very, very strong, and I can't wear it. I can't put too many sprays on, but I'm seeing from a lot of people, might I add, that this isn't the case for them. So I don't know, I'd recommend contacting Parfums de Mer if somebody could speak out about it, if Demi Rawling could talk about that, what's going on. We'd all love to know, but apparently for some people, this is really, really not strong at all. But from where I got it, notino.co.uk in England, yeah, this is an absolute performance beast. Now, number 6 is... right, hang on. One of the great things about being a fragrance nerd and somebody who's really, really been into this for such a long period of time is that you will have pockets of... you'll have periods where you go, right, that's it, I've smelt everything. There is no way that there's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. And what happens is you get lured so much into that sense of security. A fragrance can come and just bite you and get you. And you go, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that. That's absolutely amazing. And usually it can be with something that's so preposterously straightforward, such a simple concept, such a simple idea. But if you do it perfectly and you execute it wonderfully, you've got gold. This is, and I just want to give a shout out to Stefan Fragrance for talking about this brand, because that led me to getting this. This is from the House of Happyland. This is Queer Cafe, which of course is leather and coffee. And it's bloody brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. When I first smelt this, the first impression that I had was, you've got to be kidding me. That's such a simple idea, but it works perfectly. So you've got the kind of like Tom Ford style leather that you will smell in like ombre leather or Tuscan leather, that kind of ilk of leather aroma chemical. And then you slap some very high quality, very bitter coffee onto that. And this is I want to point out, and this is very important, this is my scent of the day, because I'm just loving it. I'm just head over heels with it. It's a very similar thing to Wicked Good, where I just went, oh right, that's what we're doing. That's brilliant, wonderful. And so yeah, leather and coffee, but there's other elements. There's like a floral element that keeps it very balanced. It's not wild. It's certainly not like one of these dreadful things that Dua and Alexandria are doing when they're doing the hybrid fragrances, where they've just ran out of ideas and they've run out of money, and then they've just been like, well, what can we do? Oh right, well, we'll just get this clone and get that clone and smash it together and see what happens, and we'll just sell it off to the masses. And those are awful. Those are really terrible. They're bad ideas, and they come out as absolute Frankenstein monsters of fragrances, and I forbid you to buy them. If you have spare money to buy that fragrance, just take your friend out. You haven't seen him for years. Take him out for a meal, talk to him, ask him about his wife, ask him about his family, and pretend to care. That will be much more of a good investment in your time and money than buying sodding hybrid fragrances, dumb, stupid, rubbish, low-quality hybrid fragrances from the likes of Dua and Alexandria. This is not a hybrid fragrance in that ilk. This is a really well-thought idea. This is EJ. EJ mate, I hope you're enjoying this. But it's but I know that he probably thought to himself, okay, well, I like this and I like that, what would happen if it came together? And it's spellbinding, it's brilliant, it's really, really well done, and they're actually very, very good cost-wise, incredibly good cost-wise, and this is one of the best gourmands that I've smelt this year. Gourmand Ideas, that of course being the coffee, and this brand is going to go very far. And you can just tell, because this guy has got some really solid ideas. And I would absolutely recommend Queer Cafe. I would not recommend pronouncing it like that, but I would totally recommend this fragrance. A fantastic, fantastic fragrance. Number 5 is from the House of Imaginary Authors. We're going into vanilla territory now. There's going to be quite a few little vanilla fragrances here, as you can imagine. It's one of my favourite notes. This is Memoirs of a Trespasser. Just phenomenal, just fantastic. I should really save it for review. I've got an idea of what I want, but it's a beautiful sandy whiskey, wispy, should I say. So I'm thinking about the Angel Men Pure Malt review there for a second. A very wispy, clean vanilla with this really, really sandpaper-like element to it. It's brilliant, it's imaginative, as you'd hope, right, with a name like Imaginary Authors. But it's fantastic, and it's a solid, high-class, sophisticated, almost hipstery type of gourmand. Totally recommend it. Are you right? It's a lovely day, isn't it? Yeah. So beautiful.
So what's interesting?
Well, I hope, I like to think it's me, but no, I'm just doing fragrance reviews. I'm doing a little fragrance thing, and I just thought it would be such a beautiful day to do it. So yeah, I'm just doing it out here whilst the sun's out, you know. So it's very good, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there you have, ladies and gentlemen, abject proof that Fragrance Apprentice actually can keep calm when being interrupted in the middle of a fragrance video. So there, I hope that that's made you all happy. Number 4, I'm just going to get this out of the way because I just talk about it all the time. There's a reason why I'm talking about it all the time, because it's freaking brilliant, it's amazing, and I'm actually going to be doing a review of this with Chris from Fragmental. We're going to go around York and we're going to go around the coffee shops. Now, as great as Queer Cafe is, and it's fantastic, it's phenomenal, a great coffee-based fragrance and an imaginative coffee-based fragrance. For me, at the moment, my favourite coffee fragrance is definitely SM Cafe. Yeah, I'll do a little video when Prince got his shop back up, and I don't know how he feels about me kind of the fact that I'm talking about it all the time when he can't really sell it at the moment. But yeah, SM Cafe is amazing. It's just sexy and beautiful and amazing. It's just incredible. It's just it's one of my favourite releases of this year. It's just a perfect storm of coffee, liqueur, rum, woods. It means so much and is brilliant. I totally ask that you check it out. Number 3, my third big gourmand going into 2020. I've actually tried to keep this list relatively new, fragrances that are relatively new, relatively recent, but I can't not have this in because it's one of my favourite gourmands of all time. And it's one of my favourite vanillas of all time. It's of course Tobacco Vanille. I know that Alicia doesn't like it. She wasn't too happy with it, but it's a mixed bag. There will be some people who will really love this, and there will be some people who just don't quite get it. And I didn't actually quite get it when I first smelt it. But this is Christmas in a bottle. It's outstanding. It's a beautiful way of pairing vanilla and something as usually very brutal and rancid as, say, tobacco, pairing that with vanilla and just making this incredible, beautiful Christmas experience that, like I said in my top 10 winter list last year, smells like a sort of a European kind of pastry dessert. It's incredible, brilliant, beautiful fragrance. Number 2 is, you just has to be smelt to be believed, to be completely honest. This is my new love. This is my new love at the moment. You're going to be hearing a lot about this. This is absolutely stolen my heart, and it isn't giving it back. There are fragrances, when you're this mad about fragrance, where they just literally sweep you off your feet as a collector, and when you smell them you go, oh, that's why I have a YouTube channel about this. That's why I spend a lot of my time talking about fragrances and collecting fragrances and being obsessive about fragrances, and this kind of fragrance is why I'm the Fragrance Apprentice, right? it reminds you, it puts you back into that state of absolute love and passion about this hobby. So this fragrance isn't going to be for everybody, but it was just for me, and I just totally get it. It's from the House of Xerjoff. It is 400. One of the most priciest fragrances in my collection. It is the most priciest fragrance in my collection. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody scent-wise. It's not for everybody price-wise. But if you're wondering what I'm really, really hot and in love with at the moment, it's Xerjoff 400. I'm going to have to do a review or something like that, and this will most definitely be in my winter list. I'll talk about it more then, because I'm trying to keep this kind of short. But yeah, it's perfection. It has all of the elements that I would want in a fragrance. It has all of the classic elements that I love in gourmand fragrances rolled into one. It's just incredible. So we'll talk about that later. And number one, have a guess. This fragrance is... I'm not as hot on this fragrance as maybe I was a couple of years ago. But pound for pound, if I was to say to you right now, okay, I am about to say this to you, if you're coming to me and you go, right, I want a gourmand fragrance, a fantastic gourmand fragrance that everybody's going to love, compliment getting, long lasting, strong. It is a little bit pricey, but for the milliliter size, it's not too bad. George, what is the greatest gourmand that you could recommend to me going into 2020? What is the number one fragrance where I could just say to you, listen, if you want to smell the best of the best out of what a gourmand can give you, this would be it. It is, of course, from Christian Dior, and yes, it is, of course, Fève Delicieuses. Chocolatey, vanilla-y, with a bit of pralines, with a bit of bitterness. The balance is off the charts. I have had so many compliments. I think that what was this? My number 2 most complimented of all time. It's universally loved. It's high quality. It's just incredible. It's a marvel. It's a marvel of the modern fragrance world. I've had so many compliments from women. Women have absolutely adored this fragrance on me. I've adored this fragrance on me. It's one of the greatest compositions that's ever been made in the past 10, 20 years. Fève Delicieuses, everybody. What more do you want? So there you go. Will it be my number 1 winter this year? Again, for like the 3rd, 4th year running? Well, you'll have to find out. So, and the fragrance sprays, these are my cream of the crop. These are the gourmand fragrances that I would recommend to any collector or to anybody who really wants to up their game with gourmands in 2020. Right, thanks very much for watching. You have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm the Fragrance Press. I'm out.